mother-in-law came over to like watch the house or something, and he came like right over to her. What are you doing here? And right in her face.
To your mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Awesome. You're the best neighbor ever. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. What's up, Wes here again. We're going to be talking about programming, basically giving you guys an understanding of the why behind the what and the reason why you guys are doing what you're doing, give you guys an idea of what the macro plan for the year actually looks like, and basically kind of just talk. The goal with these podcasts too as well, you guys, is to make sure that we keep the discussion going. So be sure that after you listen to this, give us some feedback. Post in the comments. Let us know, hey, should it be longer? Should it be shorter? It'd be cool if you guys could talk about this or that. And we would love to keep this a very regular thing that we do. The whole goal with this whole program is to be very feedback-based and very open to communication and ideas, etc. Like, we are not a very big, I would say, community. Like, we're not like Invictus, and we're not like Hyperfit or any of those companies where they have hundreds or maybe even thousands of people doing their programming, which is to our advantage. Being a little bit of a smaller program, we really have the opportunity to take people's feedback and apply that immediately and really listen to people and see what's going on with them. So the biggest thing that we want to see out of this, and this ties into the programming piece, is that if a week was really hard on you, or your knees are really hurting, or your shoulders are hurting, or you wish we had more of this, or we haven't done this in a while, like, post about it and talk about it. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings at all. It's all about making everybody better, and feedback is how we do that. So with that being said, I just want to give you guys a quick little breakdown of kind of what the macro plan of this year is, the reasons why we're going through each one of these cycles, and then we'll just kind of continue chatting this thing. So we're getting done with our final week of testing today. Is our last day of testing. Yeah, finished it off with Helen. Yeah. And then we're moving into our next cycle starting on Monday. And this next cycle is going to be basically trying to work out the little imbalances or maybe injuries or mobility issues that we've worked up over the last year, 2 years, or 3 years of training, however long you've been doing this. So it's going to be very heavily single arm, single leg, moving from side to side, trying to turn you guys into athletes as much as possible. What I mean by athletes is being explosive, being able to jump, being able to go from left to right on single legs, being able to use your right arm independently from your left. Do you have stability as well as mobility? Those are the big things we're going to be after with this cycle. So that doesn't necessarily mean you guys are going to be doing like some weird sort of circus drills every single day, but some movements that you'll see coming up in these next 6 weeks would be things like single arm dumbbell snatches, nice. Single arm push presses or thrusters, pistols, lateral box jumps instead of just box jumps. So moving from left to right, etc. So those are the types of things you guys are going to be seeing. And we're also going to be really starting to focus on strength in positions. What I mean by strength in positions is focusing on, can you control yourself in space in a controlled manner? So I'm very guilty of this, but squatting, for example, I love to bounce out of the hole.
The West bounce.
The West bounce, man. Like, I could squat probably 425 if I get that bounce out of the hole. That's not necessarily strength as much as it is me using technique and the bounce of the bar to my advantage, which is a great thing when you're really focusing on Olympic lifting and learning how to use that technique of the bend of the bar, etc. And that's a great thing. But what we're really going to focus on is developing full strength throughout the full movement, okay? So you're going to see a lot of tempo squats, 3 seconds down, 3 second hold in the bottom, explode up, straight back down, 3 seconds down, 3 second hold in the bottom, that kind of stuff. We're going to see a lot of eccentric position holding throughout the Olympic lifts. For example, you guys have something coming up next week that's going to be, I kind of put it up on the Facebook page as a little bit of a hint, and the funniest thing I saw is Elba said, great thing that you put it in slow motion first. That wasn't in slow motion. That was what it's going to look like.
That is definitely what I thought when I looked at that. I was like, ooh, I hope that's slow-mo.
No, yeah. So we're going to be moving 3 seconds to a first pull position, 3 seconds through a second pull position, going to our finished position, and then repeating that process, etc. We're going to be working on the position of the split jerk, where your feet stand and are you strong within those positions. So you'll see something coming up next week as well of us being in a split jerk and learning to press strict from that position. So how strong are you in that finished position? Those are the types of things you're going to be showing up in the strength cycles, and those are the type of things you're going to be seeing in our Metcons. We're also going to be adding in 2 to maybe even 3 times a week, depending on what the loads look like with what we're doing with strength stuff. So as the strength loads become heavier towards the end of the cycle, meaning the percentages are going up, what we're going to be doing is adding in more gymnastics strength stuff to give the central nervous system a little bit of a break, but to also work on strength in the top and the finishing and starting positions of things. What I mean by that is, can you hold yourself strong at the top of a ring dip? And what I mean by the top of the ring dip is, are you locked out and are your thumbs turned out as well? So are we building brachial strength in the elbow? What about the bottom position? A hold of a false grip. Number one, do you have the mobility to hang with a completely locked out elbow and still hold that false grip? Or do you have some sort of mobility issue there? So you'll see some things coming up like accumulating 2 minutes in a false grip hang. So we're working on mobility plus strength in the false grip as well. A ton of strict pull-ups, a ton of strict toes to bar, L-sits, legless rope climbs, those types of things. So as volume goes up in percentage-wise of lifts, volume will go up in gymnastics movements too, to give you breaks from those lifts as well. So kind of making sure that we're staying in touch with the central nervous system. Now, understand where I'm coming from here, and this is me being very honest with you guys, and I hope that you really understand what I'm saying when I say, please give me feedback on this stuff, because I'm doing this programming too as well, but I am much younger than our masters athletes. I'm been doing this for a long, not much younger, I'm on the older side, I'm 30, you know. Right. But I enjoy high volume. I enjoy feeling like shit, to be honest with you. Like, if I don't feel like crap, I'm a little bit beat up, I feel like I need to do more. Yeah. And so if you guys are feeling like crap and a little beat up, like, please post about that. Let us know. Because then we could dive into that a little bit further too as well. Is it not necessarily a programming thing, but maybe a lifestyle thing? Maybe there's some stuff you can do with your nutrition or recovery, and we can send you in the right direction with our coaches that we have for you guys and get you back on path. Or, yeah, maybe we do need to adjust the programming a little bit and bring it down, or whatever it is. Way too early in the year to be feeling like crap, okay? So the goal is that everybody feels really good during this next cycle, and you guys start to notice that your lifts are going up and your Metcons are getting better, not necessarily because the volume is so high, but because we're fixing those imbalances in the body and you're moving more efficiently in space. So that's what we're after with this next cycle. Do you guys have anything from an outside perspective to kind of like ask or add to that?
So not a lot of sexy stuff.
Right? No, it's going to be shitty.
Yeah. It's, you're not going to be able to put on Instagram your 2-minute like false grip hold.
Aww.
I mean, you could, but
not enough likes.
Yeah, not enough.
Watching somebody do wall walks is not fun.
Yeah, exactly. So again, and then we go back to the mental side is being in the moment, and it's not going to be that instant gratification of a PR. It's going to be, can I hold this? Can I mentally be strong enough to hold a false grip in the rings for 2 minutes? Those types of things, and they're going to play down the road in terms of your strength and becoming a better athlete, but that instant gratification is not going to be there. So you have to kind of just get past that. And again, we get back to that, how do you climb Everest? You can't get there in one step. It's a lot of steps. It's different camps. You got to go to one camp and stay there a while, and you got to get to the next camp, and you stay there for a while. So that's what these macro cycles are all about.
Yeah. I think coming from a gymnastics background, I mean, I know that it might not be all of your goals, but I know especially with gymnastic stuff, like I strive to try to make it like look as beautiful and effortless as possible. And I think when we're holding positions like that, like in my head, I'm like, awesome, like, that's really great. I'm going to really try to feel and try to make that static hold as perfect as I possibly can and know what that feels like and become strong here with my legs together, toes pointed, or like same thing in the jerk recovery stuff, knowing what my body feels like, my hips feel like, so that when I go back and we start adding on that other stuff, then I know what it feels like, and I know the difference between a good one and a bad one and what I can change. Yeah. So that's definitely how, like, in my head as you're saying this stuff, how I'm going to try to attack it.
That's perfect. And look at any top level CrossFitter in the world, they all move really well.
Yeah.
Right. They've all spent the due diligence of sitting back and, taking the time on the lifts and taking time on the technique and building the stability in the shoulders, stability in all the major joints. The stuff that, it isn't fun, I guess, unless you're kind of weird like me and you enjoy that kind of stuff, or like Brittany, but it's the most important thing that there is when it comes to a training side of this stuff, is that we're building that foundation. And that's what we're after in this first cycle, is really setting you guys up for success throughout the rest of the year, not necessarily trying to just dive into this CrossFit thing.
Yeah.
We're really trying to do, like I keep saying, my due diligence on making sure that I'm doing this the right way with you guys, and that I'm setting you guys up for success, so when the volume does start to increase and we are asking you guys to do 20 bar muscle ups unbroken or whatever it may be, that the technique is there and the stability is there and the top and finish and start positions are there, and we've gone through that stuff. So that's what we're after this. Now, with that being said, we are going to be hitting a back squat cycle during this. So you guys will be putting a barbell on your back. You will be lifting some weight. We are going to be moving through it. It's a Russian program that we picked up, and it's guaranteed to give you about 15 pounds more on your back squat, is what they say.
Dang.
So yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you guys will be squatting heavy. And it's a 6-week cycle, so you guys will be getting that into as well. And a lot of the Olympic lifting stuff that we'll be doing, you're going to see on there, not necessarily, there will be percentages for some of it, but a lot of it you're going to see the letters HAP, so heavy as possible, meaning that I want you guys to do these weights as heavy as you can with perfect form. Perfect, exactly what we're after. And we'll be posting videos on what they should look like and what you guys are going to be focusing on doing during those. But I put heavy as possible because if I put a percentage on something like a jerk recovery, for example, there's so many things that go into making somebody's jerk recovery good or not good, on mobility, on stability, on if the movement is brand new to the person, if they're firing correctly and understand what they're doing, that will limit what they can do. So you can get the people who are like, for example, their power clean is the same as their squat clean, right? It's not necessarily a strength issue as much as it is either a mobility issue or a firing issue. So when you see the word or the letters HAP, heavy as possible, what we're after with that is that you're pushing your physical and psychological limits to what you're capable of. Now, when it comes to things like a very simple back squat, deadlift, press, front squat, that's where we put percentages on things because you're moving in one plane of motion and you should be able to get up and down with a barbell. There's not really much skill or technique that goes into those things. So be ready to see that HAP on some things with that.
Question. On that HAP, are you looking, so if it's for a certain amount of sets, are you looking for someone to increase that heavy as possible once that first set starts, or do you want us to find a number at that first set and continue to maintain it?
Yes, what we're after with that is that you build yourself up to a heavy as possible weight that you can maintain for whatever the set and reps are across that lift. Okay, so if it's 5 sets of 2, you're not building up for 5 sets of 2. You're finding a weight that's like, wow, that's actually pretty challenging for me. Now I'm going to hold this for 5 sets of 2. And this is where we're getting the body to like really sink into the movement that we're doing with under some heavy load.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Yep. Build up and then hold that across.
And some self-talk.
And some self-talk
into that. I mean,
Hell yeah.
You got this. I got this. Light as a feather. All those things. Because after the first one, if you're like, oh my God, that's heavy, it's not going to get lighter.
Yep.
So your mental training kind of is going to play in there. You know, it's like, okay, I got this.
Sure.
I got this. There's a light too. Okay, I got this. You know, you got to keep talking to yourself.
Visualize it before you do it.
Exactly. See it and do it.
Yep.
I know you love that one.
All the stuff we're doing is really about perfect reps, right? So it's taking the time beforehand. This isn't rushed. We're not doing stuff for time or anything, So it's not all the stuff for time, but like the stuff that you guys see with that HAP on it, like take your time beforehand and go through visualization steps and see yourself doing it perfectly. Take the time to set up your feet perfect. Oh, with that being said too as well, I really, really I wish I could make this mandatory, and this is going to kill Brittany. I wish I could make this mandatory, but you guys are, individual people. You do what you want. I would highly suggest no lifters, no belts, no knee sleeves, no neoprene of anything, any type, any kind. You should just be moving with some regular nanos on or innovates or whatever you have. And your joints should feel good because you're moving in a good position and through full range of motion. And so if you need a knee sleeve or you need lifters or you need a weight belt or anything like that, I would suggest first bring the weight down. Yeah. Try to move a little bit better. If that's not happening, then let's focus on your mobility a little bit more. And you need to go get some work done, whatever it is, spend the time to make that happen. But I really highly suggest no weight belts, no knee sleeves, no lifters. Just, good old CrossFit. If you have 5 fingers in your garage, break them out. That'll help too. But yeah,
that sure would.
None of that stuff.
That sure would. No belt, no
nothing,
wraps, no
man.
sleeves. Just, let's go.
When it comes down to competition too, that's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to use those things too.
Yeah.
If a workout comes up where you have like a snatch that's at 80%, plus you have to run 400 meters, you don't want to do that in lifters. You know what I mean? Like you need to have the ability to lift heavy, move fast, move well, in whatever it is that you might be able to use, so make sure that we're lifting that stuff. And I've taken this seriously. I put my lifting shoes away, and I'm not bringing them out the whole year. We made a pact.
The whole year?
Yeah, we made a pact this year. That
wow.
No lifters.
I was thinking just for this cycle.
Yeah, I'm going to go the whole year. No lifters, nothing. I'm just gonna do it like that. If Rich Froning can do it, I can do it.
I've watched enough games, and I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong because you've been there, but I think Dave Castro kind of plans it out
so you don't use them.
So you can't get an advantage. Like he'll put overhead squat with box jumps.
Or running over that berm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So if you're going to get that advantage of wearing the lifters, it's going to hurt you somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he kind of thinks about that a little bit.
I think he does, for sure.
Your knee sleeves, if you want to wear your knee sleeves to help you with this, it's going to hurt you with this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think you're totally right. But also at the same time too, let's say that something is programmed where it would be an advantage for you to wear them, and you don't wear them, and then you put them on, and you just have that even more of a mental bump to you. Like for example, the snatch ladder at regionals. Like imagine if you went through that time and time again without wearing lifters, and then when it was game time, you put lifters on. That's just going to make such a better position. You're going to be more upright. It's going to be that much easier, that much more of a mental boost for you. When you do get to use those things. So training without them is super important as well. So that's going to be our first cycle, you guys. Going into our second cycles, where we're going to really start to focus on, we talked about it earlier, but ass moves mass, right? We're going to get strong. This is where we're going to really start to increase just our overall gross strength. You're going to see a lot of heavy squats, a lot of heavy deadlifts, and really we're going to focus heavily on pressing and pulling strength. So what I mean by pressing and pulling strength is strict pressing and strict pulling. So be ready to see a lot of strict press, weighted pull-ups, be ready to see bent over rows at heavy loads, really heavy back squats, etc. We're going to really tap into the central nervous system. And then this is where Brittany is really going to come in with this second cycle that we're going to be on, because this is where we're going to be transitioning with the nutrition stuff from really we always want to keep the inflammation low as much as possible, but we're going to be focusing on getting big. Okay, the Metcons are going to suck a little bit because you're going to be fatter, you're going to be bigger, but we're going to really focus on just how strong can we get you moving into this third cycle. So the second cycle, Brittany will really come in with, I'm sure protein will probably go up. I'm not sure about carbs because volume will still stay about the same, but we will be taking more of a hit to the central nervous system with this stuff. So the Metcons won't be as heavy, since you are getting that heavy work with the barbell, and we're going to be looking at resting a lot in between sets. So I might prescribe in there 3-minute rest in between a lift. And to be honest with you, so Brittany says that's her favorite. That's my least favorite. I hate that. I can't stand doing a set of back squats and then sitting around for 3 minutes. Yeah. I feel like I get cold. It's really hard for me to go again. But it's really important for you to recover fully before going to the next set. It does wonders for putting on mass.
Yeah.
Mass doesn't necessarily mean we're stronger, but it gives us the opportunity to become stronger. So the bigger our muscle tissues become, the more we can pump into those muscle tissues when we start to load you guys down in different manners with the next cycle. So
I think at my L1 cert, Michelle Moots said it best. She said, fear the dash.
Oh, man.
So
fear the dash.
If you have it written on a board, if you do a 5x5, you write it 5-5-5-, and she said fear the dash because that's the rest period.
Oh.
The longer the rest period, the harder you have to go. Mm-hmm. So fear the dash. And I love that when she said that. I was like, because most CrossFit gyms, they do a strength piece and a Metcon. She's like, no, I want to do a strength piece, and I want people to fear the dash. Mm-hmm. So that was I took that away from my one from Michelle. That was awesome.
Definitely, and that's going to be something that we're going to, on the second cycle too as well, we're going to be suggesting 2 sessions a day. So it's not necessarily saying you have to do strength in the morning, you have to do Metcons at night. You do, because stuff that comes out that says, okay, if you lift in the morning, your testosterone is higher and you're going to get stronger and blah, blah, blah. And then there's things that say that that's not true as well. So there's no really definitive published research on when you should lift and when you shouldn't. But there is research showing that if you take a break between doing things and eat food and recover, that your next session is going to be just that much better because you're going to be able to put more intensity into it. So ideally on this second cycle, we would like to see you guys doing either your conditioning work in the morning or your lifting work in the morning, and then taking a few hours off and then coming back to finish off the rest of the cycle. So in that second cycle, you'll see us suggesting that it's a multiple training cycle or multiple training sessions within a day is what we're going to be after, just to get you guys to recover too. So if you don't have time to do that, I'm sorry. And I know that everybody's, oh, well, life's busy. You don't know what I have to do and stuff like that. But if you're part of this group, you've already kind of made that sacrifice, and I'm sure you're ready to do that anyway. So cool. That's going to be our second cycle, you guys. Going into our third cycle, this is where we really get to have fun. This is like where all of the due diligence that we did in the first cycle of building stability and mobility, strength in the start and finish positions of things, as well as positions in the Olympic lifts, and then all of the strength that we build in that second cycle as well is going to pay off in this third cycle when we start to work on explosiveness. This is going to be our Olympic lifts, this will be our box jumps, this is going to be sprinting, this is going to be sled pushing, this is going to be the stuff that's fun. This is where the PRs are going to come in for the clean and jerk and the snatch, and like this is where the Instagram gold is going to happen basically.
Instagram gold.
Yeah, the Instagram gold. And this is around end of November, beginning and into the end of December is when this is going to happen. So it's right before and kind of during the holidays, which is going to be a little bit of rough on some people, but at the same time, we're still going to be more focusing on strength. So that turkey dinner and Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner and stuff is actually probably going to help you out this time. So it's a good thing, yeah. And we did that on purpose. So, yeah, that's going to be our Olympic lifting stuff, explosive strength. So be ready to see a lot of seated box jumps paired with like sled pushes. Be ready to see snatches at certain percentages going up and going down, halt snatches, those types of things. So that's going to be our third cycle. And then final cycle before going into the open. This is going to be, I don't like saying where we start to build the engine because we're going to be doing CrossFit all year long. And so the engine will always kind of be there, but this is where we're going to take a step back from the really strength training and focusing on the open type of stuff. So the really light, shitty, burpee over the bar, thruster, pull up kind of stuff. Because really, to be honest with you, when we look at the different types of athletes that we have in CrossFit, you're either one of three types of athletes. You're either an open athlete, you're a regionals athlete, or you're a games athlete. And you're neither of those athletes until you become that athlete. You're not a games athlete until you go to the games. You're not a regionals athlete until you go to regionals. And you're not an opens athlete until you actually participate in the open. So if your goal is to make regionals and you've never been to regionals, what you need to be focusing on is the open. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to focus on getting through 5 weeks of the open. Yeah. And what does the open look like? It's light and shitty. And then now what they're starting to do is add in interval weight training, basically. Yeah. So how strong are you with lungs is what they're after, right? Like Dave Castro and CrossFit could give a shit about what your 1 rep max is, and they've showed that. Yeah. What they care about is what is your 1 rep max after doing Fran and Diane and Cindy all at one time, right? Like now what can you do? Show me what you can do when you're tired. So that's going to be the kind of stuff that we're really focusing on going into end of December, beginning of January, which leads us into the open.
Nice.
And so,
so again, what is your Everest? You know, what is your summit? If your summit is to qualify for regionals, then you need to worry about
the base camp.
Base camp is get to base camp. That's open, and figure out how you're going to get to the open. And if your summit is the games, then you need to do your research on how to get to the games. What's the overhead squat I need? What's all these times I need? So. I mean, the program's laid out to get you there, but you kind of have to figure out what your summit is, And for my summit, it would be the open, because I would want to qualify in my age group for the Masters.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not worried about getting to the games or the online qualifier beyond that. I just need to get in the top 200 in my age group.
So you can get to the online qualifier.
Yeah. So I can't even worry about what those guys are doing there. I just need to worry about what the top 200 are doing, and then at that point we figure out.
Exactly. And then that first year is all a learning experience.
Yeah.
So once you make it to the online qualifier, you make it to regionals, or you make it to the games, that's your learning year, right? And then what do you do with that year? Like we talked about it earlier with the mental training stuff. If you have a bad open workout, you put it behind you and you move on to the next one. But at the end of that year is when we sit there and we reflect. Okay, well, how did your online qualifier go your first year? What are things we need to make to that adjustment? How was the open, et cetera? And then that's where we dial all that stuff in for the next year as well. Yeah. And now that you are an open or a regionals athlete, now we start looking at that in a different way. Okay, well, you need to have a little bit more volume under your belt to be able to handle a 3-day weekend of 6 or 7 workouts or whatever it may be that they come out with that year. Yeah. If you're an open athlete, you don't have to worry about volume. Volume is not your issue. Well, your issue is how hard do you go and when do you die?
40%.
That's it. 40%. Yeah, and it's mental training. It really is. And so when we all throughout the year, what I always say, like I've heard a lot of people or other coaches say, hey, your priority should be no matter what. Like if somebody asks them, hey, I only have time to do one thing today. What should I prioritize my work towards? And I've heard people say strength, and I've heard people say, okay, well, your weakness or whatever it may be. And I understand everybody's answer to that. And I understand the strength thing because it's really easy to lose strength. It's hard to get it back, etc. I understand like working on your weaknesses. I honestly believe that if you're part of this program, that you do the CrossFit workout, whatever that is.
I agree.
Because I think that no matter what, we're going to make sure that we're hitting some weakness in there. It's going to get heavy. It's going to get light at some point. It's going to have some sort of gymnastics skill in it. And what's the whole point that we're all trying to get better at? It's CrossFit, right? We're not trying to be better Olympic weightlifters. We're not trying to be better whatever. Can we do 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3 thrusters and burpees over the bar faster than the person next to us? Yeah. Faster than the other 200 people in your age category, right? So
I think Greg Glassman had the best when he talked about the hopper.
Yep.
You just turn the hopper and whatever comes out, that's the workout.
Can you handle it?
Can you handle it? And the marathoner is going to do well in the 5K. Mm-hmm. The Olympic lifter is not going to do as well. And the CrossFitter is probably going to place second. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing comes out is a clean and jerk. Sure, the Olympic lifter is going to do great. The marathoner is going to suck. Yeah. The CrossFitter is going to play second. Bam. And then all of a sudden the Metcon comes out.
All of a sudden you're up that leaderboard. You're up that leaderboard. You're up that leaderboard. So if I were to tell our members to focus on strength first, right? Mm-hmm. So always do your strength stuff no matter what. That's the most important thing. Or always do your goat work no matter what. That's the most important thing. I feel I'm doing a disservice to you guys because the whole point is to be better at CrossFit. So if you have only 30 minutes, that's it. That's all I got today. I'm not going to be able to do anything else. My life went crazy today, and that's it. Do the CrossFit workout. That's my biggest thing that I'm after as a coach. So,
and that's good to know. I mean, I'm a garage gym athlete. Mm-hmm. I don't have really the time to go to the affiliate, so I'm doing my stuff here. So, the CrossFit thing is something I'm going to worry about first, and then if I got time, I'll hit the second one. So
let's talk about that a little bit too. Bring that up. So Bob is a garage athlete. Obviously, we're in Bob's garage actually right now.
Nice.
I see a rower. He's got like a GHD hooked up to a box over here, a rack, some bumper plates.
All.
Yeah, you've got a pretty decent setup here. But I don't see an assault bike.
Nope.
I don't see a reverse hyper. There's a lot of equipment in here I don't see in here that will be on that stuff. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that that's not an excuse to do those things, right?
Correct.
There's plenty of ways that we can scale any of this stuff, you guys. And just because, let's say I post something up there and it's like, 3 sets of 10 reverse hyper, okay? I'm going to do my best to put something up there that you guys can use to scale that movement, whether that be hanging onto a GHD with some bands on you or whatever. If we don't have an assault bike, using a rower, maybe even double unders and running or something like that. But if that's not there, that's why we have the Facebook page.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That's why the Facebook page is there. Ask other people, hey, what have you done to scale or to use? I don't have a assault bike. What are you guys using to scale this, etc.?
Yeah.
It's about getting the stimulus out of the workout. That's what we're after. So not necessarily that you have to go out and buy $1,000 assault bike, Yeah. It's just there because, I would love to see you guys use that. It's an implement that probably will be at regionals at some point, or at the games, and that's what we need to do. So just know that the biggest thing we want to get out of basically these podcasts that we're doing is let you guys know, number one, do the nutrition stuff, do the mental stuff, use the Facebook page every day. Be a part of this community, and that's how this thing is going to grow, and that's how you guys are going to get better. After you do all of that, then go work out.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. And it's don't have it the other way around, where all you're doing is everything from A to Z. You feel like crap. You're not posting on the thing. You're not eating well. You're not sleeping well, and everything's going down the tube. Be sure to use that page to voice anything that you guys have, you know. And hey, I'm not feeling good. Should I take today off or whatever? Like I said, we're a small enough community that we have that advantage to be able to talk to every single person on this plan individually and help you guys out. So
yeah. I always tell people, you know, what's CrossFit like? They ask me, what's CrossFit like? I'm like, CrossFit sucks, honestly. But when you do CrossFit with 20 other people in a room, it's the most amazing experience you've ever had in your entire life. When you suffer with other people, but if you had to do it in your gym, in your garage every day. By yourself. I mean, I've done enough of it in an affiliate that I know how to do workouts in my garage and still keep the intensity up. But if I had to do it without that, I probably wouldn't continue it. So I know John Para, games athlete, he does in his garage, but he knows what it takes to keep that intensity level up to compete at that high level. So,
and I think that's an important thing to be able to have too, is that you need to be able to work out by yourself and still take yourself to that place. But that comes back to the mental training too as well, and putting yourself into situations that you know what that feels like. So if you constantly just work out by yourself and you've never even been around that, you don't really know what you're capable of yet. So you need to have a group of people to work out with. And if anything else, just being able to, this takes me into my next thing. Just being able to see people's times, right? And what other people are getting and other scores that people are getting is such a huge motivator. Greg Glassman said that they asked him, they go, why do you make people work out together all at the same time? Don't you think they would benefit more by individual coaching one-on-one? And he goes, when I'm in my garage training by myself and I'm on my rower and my dog walks behind me, I start rowing faster because I think my dog is looking at my screen and he's judging me on what I'm doing at this moment.
I love it.
You know, and he's like, that's why we work out in a group together. It's because we have motivation to push ourselves harder against people that we don't want to beat us.
No.
Post your fucking scores. Excuse my language.
Hold out.
But post your scores on the Train Heroic, you guys. Like, that is not only is it an amazing opportunity for you guys to keep track of your training for years to come and to see where you're going and where you're not going, but it is such a motivator for everybody around you. When scores start to go up on that board and all of a sudden they post something and they're like, whoa, I need to work on that. Or, dang, I crushed it today. That was awesome. Yeah. It can go in both directions. And then it also starts a little bit of a feedback for us, too, on the Facebook pages as well. So that's what this whole thing is about, is creating a community of people that want nothing more than pushing themselves to be better. And that comes with participation. So participate. Have a great attitude, do the stuff that we put up there, and let us know. Like, if you guys have questions about anything, please start the conversation. Let's keep it going, guys. This is an amazing opportunity that we have as coaches to help people, and you guys have as athletes to have these coaches around you too as well. So take advantage of it.
I agree.
Yeah. Any questions, you guys, about the programming coming up for the year?
Sounds good. I'm kind of excited now that the half marathon row's over. Super excited about this.
And just so everybody knows, no, there won't be a full marathon row. You can put that out of your mind. We had a bunch of people going, well, he did a 5K, he did a 10K, the half marathon. Oh shit, the full marathon is definitely coming. No, we're not doing that. I won't do that unless Dave makes you guys do it. And then, okay, we'll do it.
What about the 5-mile run?
What about it?
Are we doing it again soon?
Oh, yeah. That'll come up.
Dang it.
Yeah, that'll come up. And that wasn't even as bad as you thought it would be, right?
You're right. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Freaking out about it the whole time. Did it, crushed it, had a great time.
It was the first time I ran that long.
Yeah,
like 3 was my most. So like 5, I was like, oh. And it was like 2 days before I was getting surgery. And I was like, well, this is the last time I'm going to work out. So I guess I'll do it.
I know.
No, he meant 5K.
A lot of the tests, too, that I like to do aren't necessarily the best, like, is it anaerobic, aerobic, are we an oxidative, are we blah, 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 hitting these certain things? Like, I love mental tests. Mm-hmm. It is a mental, it tells me a ton about a person if they'll even sit on a rower to start rowing a half marathon row.
Yeah. For sure.
If they'll pull that, like if I'm looking at your rower right now in the corner, even walking out to your garage and pulling down the rower and going like, well, here we go, 21,097 meters, right? That takes the mental strength.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
even if you don't finish it, that tells me a ton about you as an athlete, that you're willing to put yourself into situations to make yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that I really love to do, and you guys will see, I'm sure if you guys did the Coast Range Mile, you know what that's like too as well. There's nothing sexy about that at all. Carry a couple kettlebells for a mile. That's all it is, and it's just a mental test. And when I'm looking for athletes, or I have athletes even approach me for individual programming, I make them do something like the Coast Range Mile or row a half marathon. And then I tell them to come, like, hit me up when they're done and let me know what they got. And 90% of the people never email me again.
Yep.
Because 100 balls unbroken.
Yeah, no, it's 150 now.
Oh.
I want to see Karen
Oh,
unbroken.
no way.
And we don't really do that because that comes down to really like, you know, have you been working out for a long time? Is your capacity in there? And I could care less about that stuff. Mm-hmm. I care about what is your mental capacity and are you willing to do this stuff? Yeah. And that tells me a ton. If like you're willing to literally sit down on a rower knowing that you have 21,096 more meters to go as you start to pull on that thing, and that's what you're willing to do to get better, that tells me that you're going to do what I ask you to do. Yeah. And I'm not going to have any issues with it. And so like I said, like I would say even 98% of the people don't email me back, and thank goodness.
Yep.
You know, because I only want to work with those 1 or 2% that want it.
And what percentage go to the games?
1 or 2%, less than 1%.
Less than 1%. So you're talking to go to regionals. You're probably talking about 1%, maybe 2.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's where it comes down to. Are you willing to put in the work and go back to the mental side? The Navy SEALs. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the elite of the elite. You know, not everybody can go to Buds and get through. So not everybody goes to regionals. Not everybody goes to the Open. Not everybody. So you know it's.
Buds is their half marathon, Coast Range Mile stuff. You know what I mean? That's their way to weed out the people. Yep. You know, Elba sent me a freaking text the other day of her finishing her half marathon row.
What?
Like, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Elba.
Yeah, shout out to Elba. Like, that's awesome. You know, and I'm like masters athlete doing a half marathon row. Like, I don't even know if that would show up at the games, to be honest with you. And she did it. So awesome.
Nice job.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's what we got for this year coming up with programming. Again, please comment below. Let us know if you guys have any questions or if you want to hear about anything interesting. We can throw another podcast out there for you guys. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.